we still do. We still do. We still do.
We still do after all this time at the altar. I alter my mind and vow to God I love you till he make his return. The rain should be the least of your concern. Under God's umbrella, I promise to provide and preserve his word and to serve your mind and spirit. Let me drive the boat. I promise I'ma steer it. The devil cannot get near it. You'll know this soon as you hear it. You need me, I need you. Even after the altar, we still do.
Part of who I am, like I'm a non-confrontational type of person, at my core. But what I learned growing up is because I'm non-confrontational, speaking up in the environment I grew up in meant that you were being confrontational.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Or you weren't allowed to speak up to adults. And so it was better to not speak up.
Meaning like stay in a child's place, or like
Yes.
your opinion doesn't matter. You
Stay-
don't pay no bills. Your
They both
opinion.
the same thing.
You ain't got no opinion in this house.
They both the same
Dang.
thing.
Okay.
And so when that happened, it was usually in times where there was like emotional escalation.
Mm.
So because, for example, let's just say if I got smart mouth with my mom at 13, because I'm in a space now where I'm a little bit taller than my mom, like I'm a male,
Mm.
like she would tell me like, okay, wait till your daddy get home. And at that point, it was no way that like standing up for myself or speaking up about needs, even if I felt something was like unjust, like it would just come at a cost.
Yeah.
And so because I'm non-confrontational, it's like speaking up, like it was energy draining for me. And so
So
obviously,
you just avoided it then.
yeah, I avoided it because I don't want to fight.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Like I remember when I was in high school, like I'm trying to keep my homeboy from fighting. This is the date of a game,
Mhm.
by the way. Like after school, but before the game, we got, a little time to get situated, all that. Like literally he's walking around looking for this guy to fight. And I'm just like, bro, like we don't need to be on this, bro. We got a game. But at the same time, you my boy, and I'm gonna just be here.
Mhm.
And so I chose to just be there for my boy rather than telling him or speaking up saying like this is a bad idea.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so walking around, we get in a fight, and it's like, for what? You know what I'm saying? Now, like in the game, like my nervous system is all in shock because you got 100 people following around this person who want to fight because he's well known on campus,
Mm.
and then you got the starting quarterback. So of course people want to be there for that, and it was just a mess. And so not speaking up in those moments, it made life difficult. And I didn't do it because I didn't want confrontation, but I still got confrontation because I went into a
Because
fight.
you didn't do it.
You know what I'm saying? So sometimes
That's
like
a good point though. You didn't want confrontation, so you didn't speak up. But because you didn't speak up, there was still confrontation.
yes,
So the very thing you were avoiding still happened.
exactly.
And I feel that when it comes to being passive, one thing that comes to mind, the scripture that comes to mind is the commandment, right? Like we are to love our neighbors as we love ourselves. Do you feel like it was like a lack of self-esteem or like confidence, or does any of that play into you being able to respond in terms of being passive? And the reason why I asked that is because the thought process is your needs matter, but mine don't. So is it a lack of like self-love to see others like, you know what I mean?
Just thinking of that moment, it's hard to
Not that moment, just in general, overall.
I know, but starting in that moment, trying to, trace it back, like in that moment, the need to make sure he didn't get jumped was more important than me looking like a coward or a punk.
Okay.
So because I didn't want to look like that, like in that got me in a lot of situations. Like don't write a check with your mouth that you can't cash.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And it was kind of like that. So when I think about what was underneath it, I don't necessarily think it was. I don't necessarily think it was a lack of confidence. I think it probably centered around more fear,
Oh, okay.
like a fear of how I would be perceived.
Mm.
Like if I spoke up against like somebody who is wanting to like make somebody else respect their name.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know, like I think it had more to do with like how I would be perceived as like a coward if, you know what I'm saying, like in situations like that. But I would say like in moments where, for example, in our marriage where I feel more hesitation to bring something up, it still centers around the same thing, but um the root fear is different, if that makes sense.
Mm.
So it's not a matter of feeling like I'm gonna be perceived as a coward. It's more of like what my nervous system feels is like this is a threat to your connection, because if you share this with her the way that you feel or think it initially, like this is probably gonna push her away.
Oh, wow.
And so that's more of the hesitation, because think about it, like my family history, especially on my dad's side, but also on my mom's side, like we're hotheads.
Mm.
And I really wonder, how do I get that? Like to me, it's no other way outside of um passed down through the lineage.
Mhm.
And so for me, I know how intense my anger is. And so when I want to share something or say something about something that made me feel a type of way, like in those moments where I want to share it, there's so much that comes up with that.
Mm.
And so it's like, ooh, I don't know. I don't
So
know if
you're
I
actually
could.
choosing like the high road in moments like that. You know what I mean? If you know that what you're sharing is going to come up out of anger or something
Hmm.
like that, and then being passive to avoid conflict, that's different because that can potentially, I mean, if you add fuel to a fire, you know what I mean? Like that,
Yeah, but
that can be an explosion.
it could be. But I'm also in a different space now.
Yeah.
Back when it wasn't as, because I'm more assertive now. Like I know how to share what I want to share, and I know how to share it in a clear way.
Mhm.
But back when, like, I wouldn't joke with nobody because I couldn't tell jokes. And so don't laugh, because you know I'm funny and I'm funny now.
Okay.
Um
Who's going to tell him? Just kidding. I love you, honey.
No.
You're hilarious.
Stop being passive aggressive.
I know.
Just
Perfect
kidding.
example.
Just kidding. But
Sarcasm.
because I couldn't tell jokes, I would always go to the thing that's gonna hurt, because you telling jokes and I can't tell jokes and you got everybody laughing at me, that hurts.
So you would kill him with truth.
Not necessarily truth, but the one thing that I know would hurt him.
Ooh.
Like something about your mama, but it was something that I knew about your mom.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's what I said. Truth.
You know what I'm saying? So it was
Yeah.
it was a little in there, like it might have been a little exaggerated, but then it was some direct attack, like calling somebody out their name.
Mm.
Like I knew that would get them to the place of feeling how I felt. So
Embarrassed.
so that was the root of my, like, when my anger came out,
Hmm.
that's what that was. So
So on the topic of passive, because that's the communication style that we're on, one thing that I hear from a lot of women who have passive men, they now have to carry the weight and they feel burdened and like weighed down because a lot of times a passive man don't step up into their leadership role to lead the home.
mhm,
And so the wife has to carry that. Or if they're like, oh,
Yeah.
what do you think about this? Even in decision making, they can be passive and just let it be all on you to decide.
mhm,
And I can see that as something that can be weighty because as a couple, we're supposed to shoulder it together. And it's like, no, you just leaving it all up to me because
mhm,
you don't want to have an opinion or you don't want to be direct or assertive or, you know what I mean?
yeah,
So it's actually a hindrance in communicate. As far as a communication style, being passive can totally be
mhm,
something that hinders your marriage. Because I can see that leading to bitterness and resentment. And then it depends on the communication style of your wife, to what that can look like. But I was
Yeah.
just thinking about that, like when there's a passive man that's just like, oh yeah, whatever you say, whatever you want, or whatever,
Yeah,
then the weight off falls on the wife.
it does.
And always gonna love you and always. No doubt you're my blessing. Ain't no second guessing. No one can separate.